This Kansas Jayhawks 2023 football season preview edition of the Big 12 Experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Patreon. Score exclusive perks, contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 free prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And welcome, everybody, back to the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Team previews is upon us. No more expansion talk for now. The Big 16, the Big 12. We're talking Kansas Jayhawks coming off the first bowl appearance in over 15 years. Holy shit, they're good in football now, along with basketball. Oh, my God. But if you're wondering who you're listening to, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, and join each and every episode on these college football team previews in the Big 12 or Big 16. He was born in Provo, Utah. He's got family in Ames, Iowa. He's a walking contradiction because he lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. Yes, he lives in Morgantown, so he's not the biggest Kansas Jayhawk fan. Rambling Rush, what's up, man?
Dude, this shirt is burning my skin. I'm trying to be like a Big 12 team player right now. And as we do these previews, kind of get in the mind of the fan. But geez, I don't think I can put Texas's shirt on when we get to that. I'll let you know that right now. I might have to find a horns down shirt, but this is the closest it's going to get, man. This thing hurts.
It does. And no, you should use that Texas shirt to wipe your ass with to make some good toilet paper on the way to the SEC. And batting in the 3-hole, he's got family ties in that state of Texas at Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and, of course, the Oklahoma schools. He's got a seat spread out in Orlando, Cincinnati, soon to be Morgantown. He is the Big 12 guru. Troy Chewning, what's up, man?
Just got to make sure we don't say what Bob Huggins said about Kansas, and we'll be okay.
But which time? The Three Blind Mice or the recent one on the radio station?
I think the Three Blind Mice one we might be able to get away with and not get this removed.
Yeah, no, we'll keep it PG for the most part. But we're not talking Kansas Jayhawks basketball, even though they are in the Bahamas right now, I think. Or they're in one of those islands, and I think they're 3-0. They're going to be preseason number 1 in basketball. Jayhawk fans, don't worry. We will have a basketball preview in about 2 months from now. Sneak peek, I may like them to cut down the nets for the second time in 3 years. But we're talking football. And first off, a lot of people in the chat want us to know that it happened back in 2014 that the Kansas Jayhawks do not have a track around their football field. So we will not make that joke. But I will say it was a joke that they ever had that. Rush, did you know that it was all the way back in 2014 that they took away the track? I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Dude, I got to be honest, man. I remember watching that Kansas Duke game last year. Was that game in Kansas? Or it was. It was in Lawrence. I swear, I remember watching that game with a track around the field. Like that's how ingrained in my head it was. But hey, we're we do our best here. We don't get everything right, but hey, if along the analysis route, the worst thing we do is misremember a track being part of a football stadium. There are worse things to be wrong about, but I swear, man, I do not remember that track being dug up.
It's because all the highlights you see from Kansas football are from 2008.
That's what they do. That's what it is. That 2008, I think, season just ingrained in my head. So even when they played Duke last year in that 3-0 battle, my brain put a track on that football field. So I apologize, Kansas fans. I'm wearing your shirt that's burning my skin. We're good now.
Troy, what do you think of these Kansas Jayhawks? Come here. Actually, you know what? Before I hand it back to you, Troy, let's recap 2022 because it was a historic year for these Jayhawks. The first time they went bowling since 2008. When they had their last winning season with the big man, the Mangino man, when they went all the way to the Orange Bowl and defeated the Virginia Tech Hokies. Finished 6-7, so ended up finishing with the losing record. But against the spread, they were on the winning side, 7-5-1. Troy, what stood out? They got a pretty good quarterback here in Lawrence.
Yeah, that's the one thing that stands out is they immediately start losing games as soon as Jalon Daniels went down, which makes a ton of sense. The more and more you watch the recaps and the highlights from last year, that guy does fucking everything. He really is the best quarterback that's in the Big 12. And I mean, Heisman futures for sure going on Jalon Daniels.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you mentioned it. They were 5-0 to start. They lost that tough game to TCU where they battled back. Jalon Daniels goes down, kind of spiraled. We're able to get Gundy when Gundy was really banged up in early November to get bowl eligible. I think it was important for Lance Leipold to get this program to a bowl in his second year with the 5-0 start. Rush, I mean, outside of the track, you remember in the track for the Duke game.
I have one more correction. Remember? Well, I have one more correction too before we had the Kansas fans at us as well, at least the Kansas football fans. They did the year after that they beat Virginia Tech. They did go to the Insight Bowl the following year. So that was the last bowl before last year. So the Insight Bowl back in 2008, just before we get the track, apparently, but hey, let's just get on the right foot here. But something interesting I actually want to bring up. Some of you, Ryan and I do the Ryan and Rush Show, the West Virginia Sports Podcast, and we had Don Nealon on a couple weeks ago. Go check out that episode if you ever get a chance. Great historian of the game. Awesome podcast. Learned so much. But I was back, I think it was in 2019, college football did like the top 150. It was 150 years of college football. So they did the top 150 and a bunch of different things. And I looked at the top 150 college coaches. Lance Leipold was already on there for what he did at Wisconsin Whitewater. I was shocked by that. I got to maybe check it again, but they ranked him on there.
Well, yeah, no, he was a fucking monster at Wisconsin Whitewater. Finished 109-6, won 6 national championships, lost another. It kind of reminds me of the rival down the road at Manhattan with Chris Klieman. His dominance at North Dakota State, yeah, that was Division II. This is Division III at Wisconsin Whitewater. But then he went right over to Buffalo and had that thing going as well. This guy can flat out coach. There's no doubt about it. I think that's why he's been able to flip this thing so quickly.
Don't you think it's kind of weird, though? He's finally at a Power 5, but he's already on the top 150 greatest coach. He's a great coach, clearly, but even in 2019, are they getting a little ahead of themselves?
I don't know.
He's got 6 national championships.
Yeah, one way or the other, he's probably, like, even if he wasn't coaching at Kansas, if he just stepped away from the game, he's probably still getting listed in the top 150 of coaches.
That's fair. I mean, they have him at 78. They actually had him one spot above Don Nealon. Maybe that's how I saw it, because I was curious where Don Nealon's spot was. They have him at 78th of all time. I don't know. It's interesting, but hey, he's at Kansas. Well, clearly, he did great things last year, kind of made an impact the year before. As you say, Ryan, this year for Kansas, they have in the Big 12 the biggest floor to ceiling of all the teams in the Big 12 this year. So we'll see what type of, if he's that top 150 coach.
And
yes, indeed they do.
Even when they lost, I was going to say, even when they lost Jalon, they lost to TCU by a touchdown. They lost at Oklahoma that barely anybody goes to Norman and wins. They only lost by 10 points with a backup. And then they lost by 12 at McLean and Baylor. So they were still playing pretty dang good football with a backup quarterback all the way through until, they were able to get Gundy, and then things kind of got worse.
No doubt. And I think they're a reflection of their head coach. And we are going to talk about the outlook of this team headed into 2023, because I think if you're a Kansas Jayhawk, the future is as bright as it's ever been in this football program. But before we do so, you got to sign up for the Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon, because we have exclusive contests, including the NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 first place prize. Besides the season-long contest, they also have weekly contest for our Patreons, plus a monthly SGPN Stories podcast, completely ad-free and full behind the scenes from our days at SGPN. And hell, there's even a Discord channel for all you patrons out there, and you can do your part, and this is important. Do your part in preventing the corporate gambling battle that's ongoing. Do your part. Sign up today at the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. I think Rush went to go change his shirt. I think that's where he had to go remove himself. So maybe he went to go what? Yeah,
it was burning him. It was burning him too much. He was having an allergic reaction to the shirt.
It was burning my eyes looking at him in that Kansas shirt. But let's talk about these 2023 Kansas Jayhawks. Year 3 under the Lance Leipold era. He's 8-17 overall. Obviously misleading because he took over the worst Power 5 job 2 years ago, and he didn't even get a full off season. They were able to still upset soft-ass Texas and Steve Sarkisian to hit their over 2 years ago. Hammered their over last year at 3. Like you said, they were 7-5-1 against the spread last year. This year coming in, it's right in the middle, right at 6 over under. Odds to win the Big 12, 50-1 to win in Dallas, and then 500-1 to win the national championship. They return, this is not a misprint, 18 starters off a team that went 6-7 last year and 6-1 with their starting quarterback. Rush, what are your thoughts on these Kansas Jayhawks roster-wise coming into this year?
Yeah, sorry, I had an angry mob at my door for wearing this shirt, so I had to go take care of them. But hey, when you return,
we said it was burning you, so you had to go wash yourself.
Exactly, it's a combination of all of it. But when you return 18 starters, so we talked about it with Iowa State, and I know they got their own other problems right now. But as a team,
nobody got caught for gambling, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
We checked the social media before we went on.
Yeah, no kidding. Before
go
we
ahead,
do this,
sorry,
right?
I cut you off.
But when you have 18 returning starters, like Iowa State doesn't believe in the transfer portal. And I'm not saying it's that extreme as what we see with Kansas, but when you have just that many returning players, I mean, there's clearly culture buy-in, which is huge. And then when you have, 18 returning starters, I mean, you can build so much more off of that the following season around because players are already in sync. They understand what they're trying to do. You don't see that as much, and you're not going to this point forward. So that's what makes Kansas this year.
I mean, when you look at their transfer portal work, you can tell that they didn't really have much to do. I don't think I've ever seen so many white guys on a list of a transfer portal either as the Kansas football team, whether it's incoming or outgoing. It's just lots of white guys. The biggest thing is they've got all this continuity, and it's because they all believe in the guy they have under center. That's got to be the reason why all these dudes decided to come back, is knowing that every week you're going to have a chance to win just with that dude running around making plays. They're a scary team coming into this year. Looking at that 50-1 alongside, you were saying what before this, 65-1 for Oklahoma State. Just a little bit of a trying to, getting a little ahead of ourselves, but that was probably the hardest game on this season prediction for me, was that Oklahoma State Kansas game, because I think one of those two schools is going to end up in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and we'll talk about it. I think we all agree that they have the lowest floor, highest ceiling. And a lot of it is because of how bad Kansas was on the defensive side of things last year. They gave up over 200 yards on the ground a game, over 35 points, almost 470 yards through the air. Now, a lot of it was a little bit inflated because of Bijan Robinson. I think he's still running all over them in that game that they got absolutely housed by Texas.
That was a payback game from 21.
Hey, you know what? Hey, watch out. They're going to sneak up on the Longhorns again this year, I think. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, man. I mean, they gave 52 to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I mean, they were good offensively, but not 52 points. 43 to Texas Tech, 47 to Kansas State. the back and forth game in Morgantown earlier in the year that they were able to pull out in overtime. I'm not sure how the Mountaineers still lost by 13 in overtime. That's mathematically almost impossible. But and then the bowl game, arguably the best bowl game of the bowl season was I think it was a Liberty Bowl against Arkansas where they lost 55-53 in triple overtime, where Jalon Daniels threw for 550 yards in a loss.
550 yards.
Yeah. If this defense can take a step, maybe do kind of what USC did and at least bend but don't break, force some turnovers in the red zone, and just play a little bit of complementary defense to this offense, you're absolutely right. They could make a run at this 50-1 to win the Big 12. Rush, what are your keys for Kansas to take another step? Obviously, year number one, it was to win a game. They won at Texas. That was a success. They dump the Gatorade on Lance Leipold. You got your win. Then you go bowling. How did they get to the next step? 8-9 wins this upcoming year.
They not only beat Illinois, but they crush Illinois week 2. That Big Ten opponent. Illinois, like that game was probably scheduled as, Illinois, we'll bring a Power 5 and we'll play a Power 5 to strengthen our schedule. Of course, we're also talking about it relies on the health of everyone, but putting that to the side is something speaks to me is not their season, obviously, but if you can beat Illinois, especially the fact that they're coming to Lawrence, isn't that even a Friday night game? Yeah, that's the perfect Friday night game.
Friday night ESPN.
And you can show the world like, these Jayhawks are to be taken seriously because Illinois they're not bad themselves. This Big Ten West. And if they can beat them by 2 touchdowns, watch out.
Woo.
I mean, they've got the firepower to beat Illinois. They're going to have to stop any kind of inside run, really, and that's kind of it. I mean, if you can get Illinois to try to play keep up or try to score with you, you probably can win that game. I don't know if it'll be by 2 touchdowns if you do that, but you could probably still look at least impressive on the offensive side of the ball.
I agree with you guys, and we'll dive into the schedule, all 12 games, because this is a sneaky good schedule once again, and like every other Big 12 team, I feel like every game's almost a 50-50 once they get into October and November with this Big 12 gauntlet we're going to go through each and every game on the other side. But I got to get us paid one last time because we got to talk about the Parlay Play of the Day. We're brought to you by the Parlay Play. Parlay Play is a great way to get down on your favorite parlay player props. Football season is right around the corner, and Parlay Play will have all your favorite props. Parlay Play is available in tons of states, including California and Texas. How about that? The 2 biggest states. Plus, our good friends up north, Parlay Play is available in a bunch of provinces in Canada. How about that? The Canadians are getting in on the action. And when you sign up with our code, you'll get a sweet bonus to get started. A Parlay Play. I like. Let's go with the over of the Mountaineers and the over of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So those are my 2 favorite overs in the Big 12. So go parlay those. I'm sure it'll go around 3-1. You can pay me later and buy me a beer once you win. Head over to Parlay Play and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's the Parlay Play promo code SGPN. And we're back on the Big 12 College Experience, talking Kansas Jayhawks, year 3 of the Lance Leipold era. And we're going to lead it off. We're going to go game by game on the schedule, do our composite format. Hopefully nobody gets caught for gambling and we got to redo the whole episode like Iowa State. But, hey, go check out our Iowa State preview with and without Decker. So we give you both points of view. So, hey, maybe you only get suspended 3 games. Who knows? Crazier things have happened.
Oh, he's already left the team, so that's probably not going to happen. But you never know.
You can veto it. You never know. He might end up at Iowa. So the Hawkeyes. But anyway, let's go to the opener. Missouri State is coming to Lawrence. Another Friday night game. This is fantastic. So we got back-to-back Friday night games to start. We got the Jayhawks started 1-0. Troy, lead it off.
Yeah, I've got them beating Missouri State here. This could be a real big Jalon Daniels hype game. You might want to get in if you're thinking about any kind of Heisman features. You're going to want to get in before he throws for, 380 yards in the first half and doesn't even play the second half of this game.
Yeah, same here. They'll have no problem against Missouri State. There is something about this Kansas opening up on a Friday night that they should keep that time slot. With we've been talking about with Yormark wanting to expand, but Kansas kind of being that more about. I like these guys playing on a Friday night. They should play almost their whole season on Friday night.
They've done it 2 straight years where they won at South Dakota 2. Yeah, South Dakota 2 years ago. The COVID year I don't count because all the time slots were fucked up that year. Beat South Dakota finally to end that drought. And then last year they opened up against Tennessee Tech on a Friday night before Morgantown. So, yeah, I like this Friday night slot. Get in the spotlight. Let's go, Jayhawks. All right, biggest game of the non-con for the Jayhawks easily is this Illinois game. Friday night, 7:30 under the lights, 6:30 Central at Memorial Stadium. There's no track out there now. Just kidding. Interesting game. I'll throw it right back to you, Troy, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end.
Very, very toss-up game. Oh yeah, this is on my little list here. This has got a question mark next to it. I haven't really picked if it's a win or a loss. I mean, I kind of leaned towards it earlier. I just don't think Illinois has the offensive firepower to win this game, and it could end up being closer than you think. But like Rush was hinting at, I really do give Kansas a good chance of putting on a showcase here and maybe winning this game 14 or 17 points and people starting to think, oh man, we were behind on this Kansas Jayhawks team.
This is a game Kansas rises to the occasion. I know they have to play Missouri State first, but they'll take care of them. This is a game that they know it's a Friday night, kind of make some noise before the weekend. They'll have the highlights played on game day. They are going to will their way to win this game against Illinois. And don't be surprised if it's, it's a 50-50 game going into it, but if it's like a 10-14 point game, they want to thump them. I'm going win here for Kansas.
I like Kansas because the game is in September. If the game was in November or December, I might lean to Belima. With the style of play, basically they're the new Wisconsin, especially with Wisconsin potentially throwing the ball more. That hard-nosed football, I don't think translates as well in September. I'm on the Jayhawks with the experience here. Illinois loses a couple pieces. I think Illinois is better late than early. So give me the Jayhawks. I'm with you guys 2-0, big win, and all of a sudden we got a Heisman candidate, Jalon Daniels, headed into week 3. Weird game here. Rush has already hinted at this in Reno, Nevada. We got the Jayhawks trying to go 3-0 in the non-con at Nevada. I'll Rush, you lead it off because you've labeled this as a potential trap game. Do you think that they get picked off here?
I actually do. I think they're going to go to Nevada and lose this game. This game just feels so weird to me. It's 10:30 in Reno. This is just going to be one of those games where, we've come off of it'll be, what is this? The 16th. So we'll have just finished watching West Virginia beat Pitt and we'll be drunk. And then we'll be like, wait, who's drunker, us or this game right now? That's the feeling I'm going to get from this. I think Nevada's going to sneak something out here. It just feels so weird to me. Kansas is the better team, but I think they're going to put so much into Illinois and then kind of getting ready for the Big 12. Then they're like, oh, we got to go to Reno, that type of mentality. And it's just something ugly is going to happen.
I think, this one does stink. It's got the upset smell to it as soon as you look at the schedule right away. You're right on that, Rush. I just think Jalon Daniels might rise to the occasion here and sneak them out. They might end up beating Nevada by half as much or maybe less than what they beat Illinois by. Like it might be a 3 or 4 point game.
Yeah,
I am giving Kansas the win.
I'm with you, Troy. I think that the talent disparity, Nevada lost 10 in a row last year to end. I think they keep it close. It's one of those weird games, kind of like Ohio, Iowa State. Wyoming, Texas Tech that we've already talked about in our non-conference games. They got Kansas by one possession, gets out of there alive, 3-0 composite, headed into the Big 12 opener against the Mormons. BYU coming to Lawrence. Rush, where you going here, man? You still sticking with the Cougs here in the opener?
I am. I think BYU gets their first Big 12 win here. I think they go into Lawrence. I actually think you're going to see a lot of BYU fans at this game. You're going to see a lot of blue, and you're not going to know which blue is affiliated with which team there. But I could see, I do see BYU going in and winning this game and bringing the Jayhawks definitely down to earth now at 2-2.
I guess I just have way too much respect for Jalon Daniels, and I hope that I'm right about this. But like, none of these teams that are early on their schedule are going to beat Kansas. They went 6-0 last year. They're going to be sitting in right around that same number again this year. I don't think BYU has the offensive firepower to deal with a guy that's going to be reminiscent of like Johnny Manziel this year, especially if he can play through the whole year. I've got Kansas winning this one.
I guess I'm the tiebreaker. So on the BYU preview, I gave it to BYU, but after further thinking about it, I am not picking Keaton Slovis to win in Lawrence over Jalon Daniels. So I'm flipping here. I'm taking the Jayhawks. I kind of like your angle too, Troy, that it's too much firepower. I think BYU is going to be a bitch in Provo to play at, but I think they're going to struggle on the road. I know, Rush, you're saying that they're going to have some fans, but I think Kansas is going to start exactly like they did last year, like 4-5-0, winning these close games. And, so we got him at 4-0 composite. Rush has actually, on his individual record, has it at 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Interested to hear what you got here, Rush. Do they lose 3 in a row? Because they're going to Austin trying to send the Jayhawks to the SEC one last time.
No, I have a win here, and kind of part of that BYU is this could be a little bit of that look ahead game, and it's not even for the like fuck Texas horns down type of thing. I don't know what it is. It's just they love playing in Austin for some reason. They do fuck with Texas, and this definitely seems like just one of those where it's like they get kind of the last laugh sort of things. I'm actually going to put a win here for Kansas over Texas and move them to 3-2.
I've got Kansas beating Texas just because when they had the shittiest team in the Big 12, they beat Texas. I think this is a game that you start to see a lot of the narratives of Quinn Ewers and Jalon Daniels and all of this bullshit early in the season. And there is no comparison between those two quarterbacks. Jalon Daniels is a whole class better than Quinn Ewers. And I think in this game, you see Kansas go to Austin and really, really show up, and people start following Jalon Daniels week by week and checking this guy out, making highlight plays on a regular basis. Yeah, I've got a win here for Kansas, and I don't know, this might be a 10-point win.
Texas has Red River after too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming off the Baylor game. This is a terrible spot. I'm with you. Sweet. Let's go, Jayhawks. Moneyline that motherfucker. 5-0 composite. They are literally doing the exact same thing. They're one away from the win total. They got the Central Florida UCF, very, very, very Golden Knights coming to town. Russ, where you going here in this game? This is an interesting game too.
Yeah, it is. This is. I have Kansas having a win streak. I just think they're going to stumble a little early, just to get things right. Kind of get things going again. But they'll beat Central Florida here. They'll keep it going, especially coming off that Texas win. UCF comes to town. I like Kansas in this game as well. I have them moving to 4-2.
I mean, the away games they get in the league are at Texas that they terrorize, at Oklahoma State that they beat them at home last year, but that's not like a place that they haven't gone to play before. At Iowa State, which is that's definitely a rough away game, but and then the newcomer they have to go visit is Cincinnati, and the best year to go to Cincinnati, they don't have to play BYU, UCF. They get them at home. They get Oklahoma at home. They're going to win this UCF game in Lawrence. And again, now we're looking at 6-0, pushing on the first 6 games of the year.
I'm with you. They're a repeat of last year, in our opinion, Troy, with the way we have it laid out. And I can tell you what, if they're 6-0 or even 5-1, You better start. I mean, what did we give out Jalon Daniels? We'll talk about Jalon Daniels' Heisman odds at the end, but shit, man, if he's got him at 5-1 or potentially even 6-0, I mean that those Heisman odds are alive and well. They got to go to Stillwater here, so we got him at 6-0. You got to think they drop this one. Rush.
I agree. This is Stillwater and Ames are probably the two. Well, I guess Austin, but at least the two remaining hardest environments. For some reason, like we talked about, they do well in Austin. We're very high on Oklahoma State this year, especially with their schedule and what it gives them. I'm gonna take a loss here for Kansas against Oklahoma State, and for my bracket, move them to 4-3.
Yeah, this is actually the trip up that I thought I was gonna go with. But I'm going to go ahead and give them the win over Oklahoma State here, with the trip up being Oklahoma.
Wow. Actually. You are high on these Jayhawks, man.
I think they might have the best
quarterback. Or are you just high?
Football. Well, both.
Yeah.
I love the Jayhawks, but I love me some Gundy. I think Gundy picks them off. 6-1 composite. Boomer Sooner coming to Memorial. They were right there to knock them off 2 years ago. Caleb Williams was the quarterback. It wasn't some slapdick. Russ, where are you going here, man?
They got a bye week before this, which is very important. It seems like it's been inevitable for Kansas to knock off Oklahoma. It's been like one of those things in the waiting. I think it does happen this year, and I think around this time, it's maybe even after this game itself, it's Venables is getting his buyout or something along those lines. Or at least the chatter's getting a lot worse. I'm going to take him to beat Oklahoma at home.
See, I was going with them losing to Oklahoma State just because I think Oklahoma State's a better football team than Oklahoma. But Oklahoma has the offensive firepower to hang with Jalon Daniels. Like, I don't think Dylan Gabriel is quite as good as Jalon Daniels, but he's closer to him than somebody like Quinn Ewers is in terms of offensive production. So I'm going to give this one to Oklahoma, actually, as Kansas's first loss of the year to Oklahoma here.
It's fantastic. We're all the way into late October, and we're like, yeah, Kansas is going to get tripped up here. What fucking world am I living in that with Kansas? I got to beat Oklahoma. It reminds me of West Virginia last year, where they finally been knocking on the door to beat Oklahoma. I think they get it done one last time, and Oklahoma has Bedlam on deck. So I think it's a sleepy spot for going to Jayhawk land. So composite, we got them 7-1. Going to Ames. Who knows who the hell's playing at this point? Suspensions actually could be done by this point. Rush, do you have the home team here? Or you got the Jayhawks winning this.
I actually have Iowa State here. And, of course, we know Iowa State's the biggest unknown. But I think at this point I think it's make up for last year. They're in Ames. This is a game for me where I'm choosing the home team in Iowa State.
Yeah, with nothing known about Iowa State and everything known about Kansas having so many returning starters, I can't pick Iowa State. Just saying, maybe Kansas is the better football team, even though this is in Iowa State. That the Oklahoma loss probably refocuses them, especially looking at we're going to have a chance to get to Dallas if their first loss of the year is to Oklahoma, or even if their first loss of the year is Oklahoma State and they're able to beat OU or something in that fashion. The final push for them it's kind of tough with Tech and Kansas State after that. I think they've got to win this Iowa State game, and I think they will know that going into it, and I'm going to give them the W.
I think I got it. Iowa State tripping them up. It's going to be cold. I think that grass, like Troy always talks about at Jack Trice Stadium, it's longer there. First weekend in November, it's going to be windy. Composite, we got 7-2 coming down the stretch.
The bridge is going to be lit up.
Yeah, bridge is going to be lit up. They're going to be gambling like hell on and in the locker room. We got the Red Raiders. Man, I like the schedule. Red Raiders come to town here, 7-2. Potential Big 12 championship stakes on the line. How about here, Rush? What are your thoughts here coming into this back-to-back homestand?
This might be the hardest game for me. I have
What's Tech got before this?
Tech has we were just talking about this. Before Kansas, Tech has TCU. Yeah, so
rivalry game.
TCU, and then they have UCF after. So Tech's actually in a pretty good spot here. See, I've kind of always been the guy that's just been low on Kansas. I need to see 2 years. I might be crazy. Watch when they beat Nevada 55-3, and you'd be like, Rush, you're a fucking idiot. Why did you think Kansas was going to beat Nevada? But for me, it's like, it's just yet to be seen, or seen enough at least. I'm going to take a loss here. I think Texas Tech wins this game and moves them in my record to a nice 5-5.
I've got this one is a dead 50-50, and since it's in Lawrence instead of Lubbock, I think I'm going to go with Kansas. But this is definitely a game where it doesn't really matter who Tech has before and after, because if Kansas only has 1 or 2 losses coming into this game, they're now target on their back. It doesn't really matter. So Texas Tech is going to be, we can't let Kansas win the fucking league. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just leaning toward Kansas here. I'm picking them to go to Dallas. So
makes the money, man.
I think I got to win, man. I think that it's a bounce back off Ames. I think they're going to split Iowa State and Texas Tech. That's more my logic. I think they're going to split this stretch. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Iowa State, Texas Tech 2-2. So with that, we got them at 8-2 composite. 8-2, and we got the Sunflower Showdown coming down the stretch. Do they finally beat the K-State Wildcats? How many years has it been? We talked about this the other day. It's been like 15 years since they left.
Yeah.
They haven't beat K-State since 2007.
Yeah, it was that OC. Yeah, it was. This is honestly, the winner of this game might go to the Big 12 championship. If Kansas is what you're saying, obviously we know what Kansas State is capable of. Man, this is one of those. I'm gonna say Kansas finally does it. They beat their brothers, Kansas State, and I moved them to 6-5.
See, this is one that I just penciled in as a loss because it's Kansas State versus Kansas, and don't really have to overthink that. Even in a year where I think Kansas is going to be good. Now, this could be. We're seeing another matchup of this game here in a couple of weeks. And if that's the case, I give Kansas a much better chance of winning, but I am going to pencil Kansas State in with the win here.
If it's a rematch in the Big 12, I'll lose my mind.
Well, we're probably going to see some sort of rematch. The chances of any rematch is going to be higher. Unless we get like Oklahoma State, Texas would be a pretty cool one that wouldn't be a rematch.
Well, this is the first year there's potentially not going to be a rematch. We were a true round robin league, so every year it was a rematch. So we'll see this year if that continues.
I'm going K-State here. They fucking own them, and I think a lot of it is the brand of football they play, and they're going to be playing this game on Saturday, November 18th. It's cold. Physicality of K-State always bothers Kansas. I think Kansas is still a finesse team. Now, you mentioned it. If they play in Jerry World, it actually might favor Kansas because of the fast track at the Dome. But I'm going K-State. So, we're kind of agreeing for the most part. Russia's got them at 6 wins. Troy, do you have them at 8 or 9 wins? I got them at 8 wins.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I have them at 9.
So you have them at 9-2. I have them at 8-3. Overall, we have them at 8-3, and Russia has them at 6-5. By the way, as a group, we hit the over for the season at the Oklahoma game. Last game, oh man, this is a trap game at Cincinnati. Last game of the year. Cincinnati's probably not bowl eligible. Where are we going here, guys?
They'll win this game, coming off of Kansas State.
Yeah,
they might have to. I think I'll put them one better than they were last year. I'll put them at 7-5. But I saw my questions about Kansas.
You took the over, so we're all on the over, individually and as a group.
I've got them winning against Cincinnati to get to 10 fucking wins on the year in fucking Lawrence, Kansas, dude. 10 wins on the year.
They'll build a track just to celebrate. They're like,
bring the track back. Bring the track back, baby.
They're gonna build a fucking statue of Lance Leipold if they win 9 games here, and Jalon Daniels. So let me ask you this, Troy. 10-2. Yeah, they're not going to make the playoff at 10-2, unfortunately. If it was the expanded playoff, yes. Could Jalon Daniels do what RG3 did in 2012? RG3's Baylor team is around 9-3, but he came on late, had that big game against Texas and Oklahoma, got in the spotlight. Could Jalon Daniels do what RG3 did 10 years ago? And I'm not just saying that because they're both black quarterbacks, but just like in terms of being a fun offense that's just on the outside looking in, overachieving at a football school that has not achieved a success in previous years.
I think if they can, even if they lose another game and still only finish at 10-2, and they're able to win that K-State game late, then the Heisman hype for Jalon Daniels is going to be off the charts. Right now, he's at 100-1 to win the Heisman Trophy, and I've got him winning 10 games. So that number is going to come down under plus 1,000. He's only going to be, maybe plus 1,200 or plus 1,000 or plus 800 or something to win the Heisman as we get into the Kansas State and Cincinnati weeks. If they can pull off that win against Kansas State, and heck, even if beating Cincinnati gets them into the Big 12 title and they're able to rematch and maybe win that game, or beat another team that ends up being, a little bit better than K-State. Yeah, I mean, I think he at least gets an invite for sure. I think he's going to be one of the final 3 to 5 guys in New York. And I mean, I'm betting on him to win the Heisman Trophy for sure. That's already been placed.
I love it. What'd you say you got it at?
It's plus 10,000 right now, 100 to 1.
You know what's crazy is I saw him second on the list, but I forgot that's the guy at LSU.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, because it goes Jay Daniels. I go, damn, he's second? I go, I thought he was a long shot. But yeah, no, they got the wrong Jay Daniels that high up. Quentin Ewers is third. My fucking ass. Rush, what do you think of taking a ticket or a stab at that Jalon Daniels Heisman? Not Jalon Daniels Heisman.
I mean, it's in terms of gambling, if you want to take the approach, like good odds, great opportunity. Yeah, it's worth a shot. I mean, if you even want to bet $1 to win 100, I just don't think he's going to win it. So I that's why I'm not, but it's a great value. I just think you're honestly, if I were to take, I know maybe it's not the same value. If I were to, and I'm not high on Oklahoma either, so I'm benedicting myself here. But if we're talking about kind of a quarterback that's under the radar, Dylan Gabriel plus 5,000, Oklahoma.
Yeah, but
I think he's really good.
50-1.
They've got Jalon Daniels at the same odds as Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart might not even start. I mean, he's probably going to, but
I'm sure he's going to, but it's still a battle. Like there's a chance that he doesn't even play every game, or like the first couple of games of the year, they split time with that guy. And he's got the same odds as Jalon Daniels. They must really think that he's going to get banged up again trying to run around too much.
You know what's crazy, man? I came into this preview kind of like you, Rush. I thought I was going to be down on Kansas as a regression team. But when you look at the schedule with the way it falls, I mean, you had him at 7-5, and you had him losing 2 non-con games. I mean, say
one non-con.
You had him losing to Nevada,
a Nevada game.
A crazy game to a bottom 10 team in the country. Say that they get out of that alive. I mean, this team, the schedule falls nice. I mean, getting BYU, UCF, and Cincinnati, 3 out of the 4 newcomers. For some reason, they always fuck with Texas. I can't put my thumb on it, but I just think that the schedule really falls nicely for them. It'll be interesting to see if they can finally get K-State, but you heard it, guys. We're all on the over. Before we get up on out of here, what preview is this? This is preview number 6, so we got 8 to go. We're moving along. Actually, no, this was 7. I don't even know. I can't keep track. Rush, plug your socials. I can't do fucking math.
There's been too much conference realignment. All our
I don't even know how many teams are in here.
Yeah, exactly. We've done our math brains have all been dedicated to that.
Yeah. Do we need to do Arizona State for next year?
I know. Start getting ready for that. You can find me at Rambling Rush, Twitter, Instagram. You can also find Ryan and I's West Virginia show at Ryan and Rush Show, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Really appreciate all the support, everyone.
You can find me mostly on the Twitter or the X. You can find me on the X at Troy Chewning. That's a CHEWNING. Have had some pretty good Nats memes recently, so I don't know if anybody here is also into baseball. We got plenty of making fun of the Mets right now, just trying to get warmed up, because when week 0 rolls around, if my X fingers aren't ready to roll, I might get like a hand cramp or something trying to make memes, and I don't want that to happen.
We got a preseason too.
I can tell you're speaking to a lot of Kansas City Royals fans who just beat the absolute shit out of the New York Mets for 3 games at
World Series
in Kansas City. So yeah, shout out to the rematch. I forgot 2015. Shout out to the Kansas City Royals.
The Royals saved us all from a Mets World Series. Thank the Lord.
Yes, you're right. I love the Royals. That was a fun team.
The Royals.
Yes. So, hey, everybody, you can find me, YouTube crowd at Moneyline_Mac. We all come together. That's the college football experience. They just did the Big 12 preview, all 14 teams. I think there's 14 teams in the league now. And then talk to 4 newcomers and the 2 exiting. Go check out those guys, the main station, Colby, Nick, Patty. Go check out the FCS college experience. Go check out what else we got. The college basketball experience, Kansas. I mean, what else? I mean, yes, you guys might be a little good in football now, but we all know what your bread and butter is, what you guys take your pride in. Kansas Jayhawk basketball going to be preseason number 1. We're there every night of the season. I'll pick you every single game, most likely, other than when you play in Morgantown. But, that's all I got on the Kansas Jayhawks. We're all on the over, and watch out. These Jayhawks might get to Dallas, and watch out for Jalon Daniels as a long shot for the Heisman. Good luck with your bets. And next up is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Let it ride.